Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Consciously Centered with Kimmy Saracino and Anthony Sciscento.
Hi.
Hey, yeah, we're here again for another episode. We're back um, to talk a little bit about not just the emotional part of your heart this month, but we're going to talk to you about what it takes to build, maintain, and live through a healthy heart and nutrition, stress. Kimmy, there's a lot of stuff that goes into
There's
your
so
heart.
much stuff. In celebration of Heart History Month and the fact that it's just about to be Valentine's Day,
Ooh.
woo, regardless of whether or not you have a sweetheart, I think that the number one sweetheart is yourself, right? Gotta love yourself. You can't give from an empty cup. So this week's episode is going to be all about just taking care of your heart in the absolute way that you can. I mean, just nutrition, any preventive sort of things, but also like how you live your life. So I'm very excited to discuss this because it's really close to my heart.
Ah, yeah. Nope, she threw it
And
in
you're in.
there. Taking the easy ones, pick the low-hanging fruit.
I'm Kimmy
No,
today.
you know what? I will say, personal anecdote. I figured this out um, not too long ago that I had a heart arrhythmia. And so I have to watch, the type of stimulants that I put into my system because there's certain points when those stimulants, I can feel my heart do like that little flutter, almost
Mm.
like when you do meet, somebody who you're romantically involved with. You see that little text message from them or Instagram DM if you're in the very early stages and you're trying to do the 2022 slide in the DMs. You get that little flutter in your heart. For me, that arrhythmia usually comes on because I've overindulged on caffeine, which is, I know that's my problem in my diet, but that is one of the types of heart disease that you can have. There are multiple, and the one that is truly the killer here is, where we're talking about high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and really causing true aortic blockages and just the nitty gritty, the nasty stuff that really brings, you to the hospital. So coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease is the number one killer in the United States, still is, has been for a really long time. And that's because 70% of our population is unfortunately overweight. And if we want to really just look at the surface level of what it takes to attack heart disease and coronary heart disease specifically, once you are diagnosed with that, there is no cure, it's management. So the easiest way for you to manage is to move, baby. You got to get up and
Mhm.
move because the more that you move and you groove, the more that your heart is going to be happy. And just like we talked
Mhm.
about the last episode with your gut bacteria and the little animated guy that's standing in your heart now, your
Mhm.
heart is its happiest when it is in motion.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Wait, okay. So this animation for our heart, what should we name her? Because it's a she, clearly.
It's clearly a she. This week, I think her name should be Helen Hart.
Helen
Helen Hart.
Hart. Okay, Helen Hart. Yes, I like
Helen
her.
Hart.
Well, in order to take care of your Helen Hart, Anthony, you said it really well. You can't be putting all this junk into Helen of Heart.
Nope.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say, oh, I just don't understand, like, why it is that I feel so bad, or, I'm not sleeping, or this or that. Well, once again, I think I mentioned this last week, you kind of have to take a look at what you're actually consuming and putting into your mouth, right?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Everything affects all of our organs in our bodies. And yeah, heart disease being the number one killer in America, it's because we could get into the whole idea of like the food industry, the ingredients that you find down those aisles in the groceries. Like they're not going to be top notch all the time. Just because they're being sold at the grocery store does not mean they're healthy for you. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to stick to healthy, stick around the perimeter of the grocery store rather than going down those aisles, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah. And if you're trying to, kind of change your lifestyle in a way where you're, not necessarily getting rid of all the things you love, but trying to supplement and do better for your heart health, you have to read ingredient labels, right? You
Oh
have to
yeah.
look at the types of fats that are in, these foods. Way back when the whole fad of, fat free was the big thing, but fat free doesn't mean it's good. We do need fats. It's the trans fat that's horrible. It literally clogs your arteries. Saturated fats also clogs your arteries. But what you're really looking for is incorporating more unsaturated fats. So, I mean, what are those, right? Omega-3 fatty acids. Those are excellent sources of fat that our hearts love. It decreases inflammation.
Avocados.
Avocados, yes, avocados an excellent
Avocados.
source. What else? Olive oil, right? Olive oil.
Olive oil is
What
really
is
good. Fish, if you do eat meat and or you're pescatarian, fish is a really, really good source of those omega-3 fatty acids. And then also getting some nuts into your diet, but not just any nuts. You want to get those nuts that you skip over a lot of times. When you go through the mixed nut bag, you want the almonds, you want the walnuts, those ones that really
Yes.
feel, if you take a bite out of them, that glossy feeling that you kind of get between your teeth. People who are textured, I'm sorry for that visual because I know that you're thinking about it just slowly squeaking between your teeth. But
Ew.
yes, but yes, that just visual of those of that little coating that you see on those nuts, that's where that oil is coming in that Kimmy's referencing. That's going to really help and lubricate your arteries so that blood can flow quicker through, those areas. You don't want to create a blockage, which when something is artificially made and it sits inside of your system, your body isn't made to flush that stuff out. So it takes a longer time for it to filter and process through. So if you think about, like a dam and a river, if you leave, one or two logs here and there every now and then, it's going to slowly start to build up over time and it's going to slowly create that blockage. You're not going to kill yourself, one day by eating, an Oreo. But what we're saying is, the really, really saturated high trans fat foods that, like we talked about, are getting incrementally smaller, but the serving size is staying the same. So you want more and more of these things, fast food, grabbing, labels like Kimmy said, and really looking at the trans fats. But like she said, the aisles, the snack aisle, where things are stacked really high for cheap, the chips, the Ruffles, the candy aisle that's stacked, to the brim. Just, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so this hurts to say, me Hershey's products, they're really high in those trans fats and they taste good, baby, I know. But there's healthier alternative ways that actually are going to benefit your body. And one of those alternatives is one of my favorites, dark chocolate.
Mm.
Dark chocolate's going to help boost the endorphins in your brain to de-stress you, which is also going to lead to some good heart benefits because, as we know, stress is not good for your system. But just on a nutritional level, creating that really dark color in any food, just like dark chocolate, is going to be where the key lies. So the darker the better. That goes for your leafy greens. That goes for your berries. The darker that you get these food, the more nutrient rich they are. And that color is coming from the high density of antioxidants that are going to really benefit your system and help to combat, if you have, heart disease, the symptoms that come with it, and then, prevent the onset of it as we age, because it is the number one killer in the United States and we're all predispositioned to it because a lot of what we do have the option to eat in the grocery stores does not comprise of the things that we're looking for. It's not in front of your eyes. You got to search for it. You got to read.
You gotta read. you got to really read all of your ingredients, especially if you have a predisposition, if there's something in your genetics, or if you grew up eating, tasty treats that aren't necessarily good for you. Eventually, even if you consider yourself, lean as a person, eventually it's going to catch up to you. But going back a little bit to omega-3s, and then I want to touch on antioxidants for sure, because I really liked what you just said. For us, for my plant-based folks out there, if you're looking for a good omega-3, it would be something like an algae oil or a flaxseed oil. And yeah, fish oil is really great if you don't mind, having fish in your diet. But yes, going back to the different colors in our foods, I can't express colors, all the colors of the rainbow. Like, I can't express enough how important it is to, when you're about to make a meal, look at your plate and just try to fill it with as many whole foods that are colorful. So, when you think of colors, like, what do you think? I think of beets, carrots, spinach, all these different things. When you see these colors, they have antioxidants in them, and antioxidants, what do? They help that aging process. It reduces all those toxins and free radicals that we're exposed to every single day that we can't help, or maybe we do, right? It helps to kind of like counteract the process. They're also known as polyphenols. So if you ever hear that name, polyphenol is just a fancy way of saying antioxidant. So you want a lot of those to help your heart health strengthen Helen the heart. And I really like
give her the fuel.
Give her the fuel, so that way you can go out and move and do good for your body. And it doesn't mean you can't have an Oreo every now and then, absolutely not. But balance it out with more colors and more healthy items, more whole foods, not so much processed ingredients. That's icky.
No, yeah, you don't want to tip the scale too far in one direction or another. But yes, exactly what you said, and I think you're about to go into the darker the better for any of these foods. Yes.
And you definitely mentioned dark chocolate. I mean, I freaking love dark chocolate so much. It has, obviously I love like sweet chocolate, but the darker the better, because obviously cacao has resveratrol in it, which is a very powerful antioxidant. What's another really good? I really love this other antioxidant called glutathione. Are you familiar with that?
Indulge. Tell me all about it.
It's when I was doing my research on antioxidants and how I can properly supplement myself in the morning, aside from, taking a multivitamin or an iron pill, et cetera, resveratrol and glutathione came up, and they seem to be two of the most powerful anti-aging, say that 3 times fast,
aging antioxidants.
Aging accidents.
Anti-aging antioxidants.
Yes.
Cinnamon. Yeah.
No, you should try it. I got it around Christmas time. It's one of those things I just take on an empty stomach every morning, and as a part of my supplements. I like it so far. What else? Oh, resveratrol is also found in red wine. So having a glass of red wine every now and then isn't necessarily the worst thing for you. No. Helen likes a little wine from time to time.
Helen likes to go out and party, but Helen likes to be treated right. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Get her a high class red wine. Yeah, she's a classy bitch. She needs to be treated that way.
Oh my gosh, she's such a classy bitch. She's a classy bitch.
Yeah, everybody's looking at her like, man, she needs all of these things just to move and function. And it's like, yeah, duh. That people ask me all the time, like, one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, and I hate this word, is when people ask me this question, it's like, is your diet clean? It's like, think of a better way to ask me if I'm cheating. Like, I know where your mindset's at, because everybody, this portion that we really like attack is, those incremental changes, like you're saying, you just take it every morning on an empty stomach. Well, yeah, there's some shit that I take where I'm like, is this really helping me? But then people notice from the outside in, either by working out with them and they're like, how the hell do you have all this energy through an entire workout? How are you able to do hit routines and Tabata, through almost every single one of your exercises? People who are not familiar, Tabata is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. It is probably the most cardio effective way to do hit training. If you want to raise your heart rate and really build that strength, just like making changes in your diet, you're blowing up a balloon. And the farther that you blow this balloon up and you push, just like Tabata, you're pushing those 20-second intervals harder and harder. Here, what we're doing is we're making incremental changes in your diet to push that scale and push that balloon farther and farther out to create space for you to grow stronger. And yes, just like a balloon, it will shrink back and things will retract back to a certain point. But the more space and the more blockers that you put into growing your heart, just like we talked about, you can create blockage, you can create growth. The more space that you create by putting good things inside of your heart, by putting those antioxidants like we're talking about here, putting those in place, you're going to create a blockage for the bad stuff and grow your space for the good stuff. There are ways that you can change and grow your body. And when you look at these athletes, and when people ask, like Kimmy's an instructor, and like myself, I work in the fitness industry and I used to be a trainer, people ask me, they're like the same question: do you eat clean? Well, God, listen to the tangent that I just went on for the last 2 minutes. There's so much that goes into that word clean. And when you talk about your heart, it's one of those areas where I will say you do have to be clean. As much as I hate that word, you can't shortcut yourself with this. Your heart is the driving factor, and it's not only a risk factor in the United States for death, but it's a risk factor with the pandemic that we currently have going on. No matter what age you are, a lot of this disease is attacking our hearts. You're seeing it in younger and younger people. God, heart disease isn't supposed to be attacking us. What are we doing wrong? Well, I can tell you the diet part, I can definitely check off, as most people are probably not doing that. We're giving you suggestions here on what to add into your diet. But there's other parts that go into your heart too. And the two things that are going to go into it that could change, make or break you, and really sometimes, unfortunately, I hate to get morbid, push people over the edge if they're going to have a heart attack, is stress and exercise. Are you putting your body under enough good stress, i.e. exercise, or are you putting it under bad stress to create a mental space that's not healthy for you to grow into? And I think right now there's such a highlight on personal opinion that people are so one-track minded about shoving what they want down other people's throats that it creates this stress to be like, I want you to believe what I believe, and I can't believe that you're not believing what I'm believing. When in reality, if you stayed inside of your own bubble and worked on what you can do to better yourself and let that naturally bleed into the environment around you, there might be a way to reduce that stress, and there might be a way for you to create a positive outcome like we're talking about here. So with all that giant bubble of words, stress and exercise, good stress versus bad stress.
Good stress. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is, I guess, another topic that's close to my heart.
Toss
Aside
it.
from, I gotta keep like throwing that in there, from time to time.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on, proper nutrition. What can we do to better supplement our heart health? Avoiding certain foods, avoiding sugar is something that I meant to touch on earlier. Like, and when I mean sugar, I mean, yeah, you can have sugar in the form of fruit. I hear a lot of clients say, oh, well, sugar in fruit is natural, right? Yeah, but sugar is sugar. So you want to just like be very cognizant of what type of sugar you're putting in. None of that processed shit.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, that also means no fast foods. The one good thing about the snacks lately is that I know that the food industry, for the most part, has nixed the trans fats on most food items that are packaged. However, that doesn't make them better. There's still plenty of saturated fat, along with sodium and along with lots of preservatives, which our heart Helen, she does not like those preservatives, the P word.
Creates an
So
inflammatory response in your arterial lining, and that will cause a stroke/heart attack.
yes, boom, 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 ding, ding, ding. Yes, tenfold Gryffindor. So aside from proper nutrition, right, and what we're actually eating, going back to this idea of stress in the world, yes, you can relate stress to this pandemic as it's affected so many people in such heavy ways, and it's still affecting people in heavy ways. But I think when it comes down to managing stress, that's really important for our hearts. Stress affects us in all aspects of our lives, in the way we eat. Like, I mean, if you think about when you're eating kind of shitty, right? Why is it? It's usually because you're feeling stressed, or maybe you eat something and then you're stressed because you ate it, or maybe you skipped leg day and you're like, rather than, freaking out and having these moments of panic.
Are you calling me out for having skinny legs? She just did that. She did that on air. She really just called me out for having skinny legs. I saw
Did I
that
just
side eye.
stress you out, Anthony? I'm really
Stress.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hang on, let's take a deep breath. We're going to now engage our parasympathetic nervous system. Deep inhale. And
Me
let
and
it go.
me and Helen Hart are having it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just had to take moments to realize, like, a lot of times we make things a lot bigger than they actually are. And it's really important to have supportive people in your life who uplift you, successful, loving people who want the best for you, and vice versa. And I think, yeah, there comes a time in all of our lives where we have felt betrayed or hurt by somebody. And then it's kind of up to us whether or not that person or those people should remain in our lives, and rather than keep them stressing us out, take value for your lessons learned from those relationships, and kind of, move forward and start grabbing onto people who really make you feel like you can be more at ease, right? More present. And I think the idea of just being vulnerable and saying, hey, like, I don't feel good, I feel stressed out, but being able to talk about that with somebody is really helpful. But yeah, stress management is just taking a breath for 4, and then holding it in for 4, and then exhaling really slowly out of your nose for 4. And that is helpful, especially for people who are in the workplace who maybe don't have time to really disconnect and go like sit in a crisscross applesauce in a corner somewhere. It's more of like, if you're on the job, or if you're in a super high paced environment, just take a moment to breathe, and that right there will help your heart. We can't begin to do good in the world, and make good decisions to complement other people, unless we feel good on the inside. So eating, sleeping, exercising, or the decision to exercise, right? We can only do that from a place where we feel good. So with all that, Anthony, what do you like to do that helps you de-stress?
So de-stress, yeah. Exercise, man. Any form of body movement. I will say I live at the beach, so one of the easiest things for me to do is just like time out a beach trip. And I really hated this, when I moved here, for the people around me, who have lived here, and they're like, oh yeah, I haven't gotten out and watched the sunset or the sunrise in a while. And I'm like, you live at the beach. Why? And like I remember the first 2 years I lived here, I used to drive out to this place called Lumina Point in Wrightsville Beach. And I used to sit, it's like perfectly due east. So the sun will set directly in front of your face. And it's like, it's the most magical thing to see the sky just explode orange and there's nothing in front of you but, really calm, open ocean. And like the night sets and like, then there's these phytoplankton in the water. And if it's a really clear night and it's really, really calm and you walk out very slowly so you don't disturb them and you run your hand through, you can create like this little like phosphorescent glow. Like to me, like that moment in nature, that transition of a busy day into decompressing my emotions through the sunset and then just completely losing myself in like the coolest thing in front of my face, which is glowing fish in the ocean. Like, the hell? I grew up landlocked my entire life. Now I get to touch the water and these little glowing like mini organisms that I can't see are just suddenly like creating this green streak. And it's like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like those moments that you connect to and you hold on to, it's like just talking through it in that moment right there was enough to like bring me, down a notch. And like I carry a lot of stress. Like I manage a gym that runs 24 hours and like there's always stuff going on and I love it because I get to be, foot on the ground. But, my day-to-day life is like I have to practice these things, like you said, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Or and like sometimes like I just like break down. Like it's happened to me twice and like I can vividly remember the moment of just like being so overwhelmed with emotions and just having a moment of like just like screaming like I don't understand why I can't get control of where my head is at right now. And when I look back and I realize it's because just like any medication and good practice in your life, without consistency there's going to be a break in the chain.
Yeah.
And those little moments, those breakdowns, those anxiety attacks, those slips into like I don't want to do anything today but lay in bed and snuggle.
Oh, I
Those
feel that.
That's your body telling you like, hey dude, hey chick, hey Helen Hart, get a hold of yourself and stop. Like just pause. We all deserve it. And I think this moment that you have right now where you're digesting, this information either visually or audioly, this is just, your moment to breathe and take those couple of seconds to be like, it's okay. Whatever's happening in your life, these moments are important to your heart. Because Helen, she works her butt off all day, man. She needs to kick up her
She
feet and relax and
does.
chill.
She's like, I don't get paid enough for this. God. Girl,
Yeah,
I feel
man.
you. I feel you. Well, I think that was really nice. Thank you for sharing that because,
Yeah.
yeah, regardless of what's going on in your world, it is so important to rest. And that kind of brings us naturally into the next really crucial thing that we need for our heart is rest. And I know so many people who are just, they work all the time. They work, 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 work. But there comes a time where you feel like you're crashing, right? I mean, even the other day I worked a 3-day trip. It's actually very similar to the one I'm about to go on, but I came
Woo.
back and I was like, I don't want to put away any of my laundry. Like my apartment looked like shit. It was like my stuff was in the corner. I didn't want to deal with it. I went to lay down and I swear for 3 days, my eye was twitching. So I was like, what's going on? Am I dehydrated? I'm not having a lot of caffeine. And I realized that's my body's way of telling me, slow down. Take a second to go watch the sunrise, go for a hike, connect with people who uplift you and empower you. And yeah, for me as well, I love to exercise. Like if I don't exercise in the day, and that could mean even like a very easy 15-minute brisk walk. Like it depends on what's going on, right? As long as you get some form of exercise in there, it makes me feel really good. I feel like that's my form of meditation. But also, I don't know about you, if I don't exercise at all, I don't sleep well. It's almost like I have this stored energy inside my body. And it's almost like, you know, all my organs, Helen included, being like, dude, why didn't you get your ass off the couch today? You know? So I think it's just listening to your body and truly giving yourself the space to do that. Because if you continue going on and on and on, you're gonna crash and burn, and she's not gonna like that at all.
Helen gonna be pissed because she
Pissed
don't
at
get paid
you.
enough for it, and she needs
Mhm.
her time too.
She is demanding a raise here, otherwise she's gonna quit. So
Yeah, look, I will say it's scary at times, but I do love, the human body, and it's one thing that I've come to appreciate. And I think until I was forced to take pause when I had my shoulder surgery to like really look at like what a true break, is, I was always, like you said, pushing the envelope, go, 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 constantly pushing forward. And I just stuck like random shit in the middle of a busy schedule to be like, this is a break, but it's not. It's like if your break is sitting and doing things rather than standing or moving and doing things, it's not a break. You need a break
Mm-mm.
from everything. You need to put your phone down. You need to take a second. You need to go away from the rat race,
Yes.
because I mean, God, as busy as I am, if I didn't take time, I would honestly snap, because it's so easy. Like you said, either an eye twitch or like what I find is I lose my breath, or
Mm.
I'll literally, like, my face will shake, and I'm like, I hold all my emotions on my face. So I feel like people see me and I look like I'm about to explode.
Oh.
And that usually like solves the problems, because you don't want to look at somebody who looks, angry. But I'm like, I'm not trying to do it, clench my jaw and be angry, but like sometimes like you just push it over the edge, and I haven't been doing my work, on myself, and things will take a turn. And you got to really work on not getting to that point. So it's been a practice for me, I think, ever since that surgery, to really look at creating personal space for myself. And I always thought that the way to create personal space was going out, and like you talked about sleep. I want to say something fast, is passing out is not sleep. So me going out like I used to when I was in college, and all you people who are still going out, you blacking out and passing out, your body doesn't get the proper rest that it needs to take care of hell in the heart. Hell in the heart thrives not in deep sleep, but she thrives in REM sleep, when
Mhm.
her mind can unload, and that weight that sits in your brain until you hit REM sleep and light sleep, and you get the delta waves, and you drop into those deep sleeps for a little bit. The majority
Mm.
of your sleep should be sitting right in the middle. Like if you have an Apple Watch or a fitness tracker, your body is showing you that steep decline into deep sleep. In actuality, you want to sit more towards the bottom end of REM sleep, but you want to sit almost directly in a line where you drop slowly into deep sleep, and then rise back and hold in REM sleep along that line, because that's when, like we said, your mind is unloading and you're de-stressing yourself, because otherwise you're just shutting the lights off. Like if you have a TV on, you know how your dad or mom always told you when you were younger, you leave your TV on and then you shut the power to it, it's going to burn out
Mm.
the bulbs on the inside. That's what you're
Yeah.
that's what you're doing to your brain. You're not shutting the
Mhm.
TV off before you turn the power off. You're just
Mhm.
flicking the damn switch. And the same
Yep.
thing happens if you just come home and you're so, like I was about to say, yeah, fucking, you're so fucking tired that you just pass out face down on your couch. That is the same exact thing as getting fucked up. You didn't do enough, so your body is saying, net, I'm taking control. Lights off, motherfucker. Lights off. And you don't want to get to that point.
I love the animation that just came out of you. This is perfect. This is exactly where we need to be. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Lights
no,
out.
it's true. Lights out, man. I don't know. As somebody I have always had anxiety, like anxiety. And I don't know, I guess just my upbringing and, coming from a very strong Italian family. I don't know, maybe it's just like ingrained in my genetic lineage. Um,
You know,
but I
100%.
noticed growing up, I'm sure you can relate, right? The
No.
Italian. Growing up, I just feel like the more in tune with yourself and the more you become to know yourself as a human, you can kind of, you know, tweak. You can decide whether or not you want to tweak things and make it work for you, right? By managing your stress levels and making things better. Or, and tell me if you've met people like this, you can do the blame
Wasn't
game
likely.
and say, yeah, do the blame game. And it almost becomes like this weird competition of who's the most stressed out. And
Yeah.
that I cannot even, that irritates me a lot. That actually really fucking pisses me off when people get all like, well, you should have seen me today. I was so tired that I blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why are you bragging about that? That's not good. It's not good
That's
for you.
terrible.
It's terrible. Like your line of work and how tired you are, how stressed out you are, how much you do this does not define you as a human being. What defines you is your health, your morals, who you are as a person. So you just got to take care of yourself, man. And I think that's really good what you were saying earlier about, just taking those moments, being, GM at Hotworks. I can't even imagine like just being on call all the time. Um, but yeah, also I wanted to touch base on even the most simple things we could do for our heart, which is not drink so much alcohol. And I mean, that's also, we like to go out every now and then. That's fine. But that increases anxiety as well. So I noticed that when I would go out with my friends, yeah, it'd be a great time, but I would not sleep. I have this like impending doom feeling for nothing, right? But it's actually my internal organs saying, hey, we're very inflamed and we don't feel good. Um, so yeah, although we said that red wine once in a while, a glass here and there is fine, maybe two is fine. But overdoing it on the alcohol front is definitely not good for your heart. It's definitely not good for Theodore, your liver. It's a new animated character. I'm
Theodore the
adding in there.
liver.
Theodore, the liver, and your pancreas, your kidneys, everything. God, it's so bad. But, it's not to say that we can't have fun every now and then. Just when you imbibe, be more present, more conscious, more meditative, I guess, and drink more water. What is that, 1-to-1 ratio?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but that'll never happen.
It never
Let's be real
happens.
here. Smoking too, people.
Oh, yeah, smoking's so bad, you guys. Like, who smokes cigarettes anymore? And then you walk outside and like 4 people are smoking cigarettes, and you're like,
No, it's a vaping.
oh, that's
Vaping.
really bad too. Isn't that like extra bad for your lungs or something?
Now, I will say this as somebody who did when I was in college, I worked at a bar and I smoked cigarettes for like on and off when I worked for like 2 years, and then I picked up a vape in college. Ugh, hate myself for it because let me tell you what, quitting a vape, and this is coming from somebody who's sober from alcohol and other substances. I will say that quitting vaping was the single hardest habit I've ever had to quit in my entire life. The
Wow.
constant need for oral stimulation was just overwhelming. And then you get to a point where you're like, you actually feel like restricted. Ugh, I sound so like you feel like when you're like, and this is like,
It's okay.
so
Just let it out. Just let it out.
I'm trying to find the word for how you feel, but just you feel restricted in your breathing. I don't know how else to say it, but like
Yeah, like
constriction. Yeah.
shortness of breath. Yeah,
Shortness
that
of breath, and
happens.
it's like
Yeah.
heavy. Yeah. And it's just terrible. And like, and you feel that way at random times. It's almost like when you're having an anxiety attack.
Mm-hmm.
But the shitty part is that you associate vaping with everything that you do. So I'm stressed out. I'm going to take a hit of the vape. Oh, I woke up in the morning. I'm going to take a hit. I'm going to go to sleep. But before I sleep, I'm going to, the first 5 or 6 breaths out of your mouth in the morning of fresh air don't even happen before you hit that thing, because the only time that you ever feel a buzz from smoking is in the morning and in the evening. Otherwise, it's just maintenance and habitual, and it's a waste of money. You can put it into these supplements that we're talking about. We're talking about hearts. God, you're stressing your heart out so much unnecessarily, and all of that vegetable glycerin that you're creating vapor from, it's just not researched enough. And this is coming from somebody who's done it. And I just wanted to know what the hell I did to my system for those years when I was already tearing things up anyway. So what the hell was this added on top? But you look at it and you're like, what did I do to myself? Well, like we talked about with creating, blockages for your dam and your arteries, vegetable glycerin, when you vaporize it and then you inhale it, that doesn't just come out of your mouth, it goes into your bloodstream. And where does your bloodstream enter? Bloodstream enters your heart. And Helen doesn't know what the hell is in coffee shop vape juice. Helen
That's
doesn't.
very carcinogenic.
Yeah. Helen doesn't know what that stuff's gonna do to you. And don't get me wrong, for all the people out there who smoke and do whatever, I understand, I feel you. It is a really hard habit to kick, and you're always gonna be able to create an excuse for now it's not the time. But I'll tell you what, when you get hit with a disease or you get hit with something that really shakes you to the core, that's not the time. And you're really going to figure out what's important to you. So from an outside perspective, alcohol reduction, importante. If you're a smoker or a vapor, I'm fucking here with you. That battle sucks, but I am here right beside you. You can do it. Drop it. You're worth more. Your heart, Helen, is waiting for you. We talked about a lot of stuff that's going to help Helen. Don't you dare turn around and shove that pussy stick in your mouth. Don't do that to yourself. You are worth more than that.
I agree with all of that. Also just want to chime in and say that if you are having problems, or I guess not problems, but issues, quitting smoking, I mean, there are several hotlines that you could reach out to. There's several ways. There's some holistic ways. I know this doesn't make it any easier, but it's really important to surround yourself with a community of other people who get it, and who are there to help support you. So if there is anything that even we could do to help you with that, reach out, please, because it's tough.
Yeah.
But it's also very, very harmful for your body. So moving forward from that, just you can do it. Yeah, go back to the Rob Schneider days. You can do it all night long. Do it. So let's review really fast. So we talked about proper nutrition, supplementation, a little brief touch on antioxidants, omega-3s, all that good stuff, versus the bad stuff, which is the trans fats, the saturated fats, aka no fast foods and going down the grocery aisles. Or if you do, just limit as much as you can. Just try to eat more whole
labels.
food. Yeah, read those labels, try to eat whole food, stay away from the processed shit. That's so icky for your heart. Try your best to stay away from smoking or smoking environments, limit your alcohol consumption, drink more water. Meditation is your best friend. And if it doesn't sound good to you, even just exercise is a form of meditation, or taking those 4, steps, or those 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, taking a step away from any sort of stressful situations, and just minimizing the inflammation in your body. The last thing that I also want to talk about is, we kind of brought it up earlier, but the idea of surrounding yourself with love, right? With people who love and support you, and vice versa. And I think we need to have a whole separate episode on relationships for sure. But if you're
Yes.
feeling like there is someone or somebody's in your life who's just taking your energy and depleting it, and you're unable to refill your tank, or you're dreading those moments together, it's kind of a consideration to maybe, you know, nix that out. And I mean, I actually just recently had a situation, a girlfriend who reached out after a long while.
Mm.
And yeah, and I had this whole like dilemma, probably a little stress stirring up in my body, right?
Helen,
Um,
she's
Helen,
stressed.
Helen was like beating a little bit faster because I didn't know if I should respond and actually exert more energy or let it go, right? And I realized that from the amount of energy that it took and how it kind of negatively impacted me, I just negatively, I decided to kind of just let it go. And surprisingly enough, that feels more powerful to me to just stand up and be like, that's my boundary right there. And I don't need to give this person an explanation when they have taken so much from me. I won't allow it to happen anymore. And I think the idea of creating really healthy boundaries with people who don't make us feel good is also really important for our heart health. So, um, Anthony, I don't know if you've had an experience recently that made you kind of go, wow, I don't have to say yes all the time. I can say no, you know?
Ken,
Yeah, you can absolutely say no. And it's hard because I'm a yes girl. I'm definitely one of those people, but it's just an ongoing, growing sort of trial and error. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear your take on setting healthy boundaries with people who are a little bit harder to remove from our lives.
well, um, I will say props to you first of all for realizing that, because I think the biggest thing is identification, like you just said, identifying who those people are, how to eliminate them from your life is going to come a lot circumstantially, and doing it with the least amount of stress is going to be the most difficult part. Now, because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm the same way, man. I love everybody to be happy, and it's been the hardest thing for me in the current position that I'm in, managing people, is like creating a separation between business and personal relationships. And I think we talked about this and how I like, it's not like fraternizing, but like I mean like taking your time
Pandering.
with the employees. Yeah, pandering to your employees. Yeah, and in any ways is going to be, it's going to create a situation that you don't want to deal with. I mean, so it's just the same in your personal life, right? Like business for you is your business, and
Mm-hmm.
your overall goal and the objective has to come. As you can tell, Kimmy's got a very positive spin to her life, and creating a positive mindset. And I'm so regimented with that everything, and I think about
Thanks.
it this way to section it out. No, it's so inspiring. Like this is where my direction is heading, right? As a person is like, how do I take that type of attitude and apply it to where I'm at, because I look at things as business and personal, and my
Mm-hmm.
my order of importance will always go family, work, personal, because family comes first, and I'm family to my own self, and you got to be family to your own, and your job is what puts food on your table and keeps your lights on. Everything else comes after. So if this down here is creating problems for this and this, the hierarchy of needs is going to tell you that you need to eliminate this so that there's not this undercutting the entire pyramid to make it crumble, right? So if the bottom section of your personal pyramid is all of the relationships that comprise you in your daily life, the people you work with, the people that you see at home, the people that you see at activities that you choose to do. If you go to a gym or belong to a gym, the people that are there around you, the community, the people in the stores that you see and randomly pass by, and hot pharmacy girl that you're like, hey, thanks for filling my jugs and my butt cream and not yelling at me. Like, you're all creating this giant base of people around you. And as that base becomes smaller, it's based on your hierarchy of needs. And the smaller the level in the pyramid, the more important it is to you. And you sit atop that pyramid. However, just like anything that's balanced, if you've played Tetris, if you're trying to build and maintain a foundational pyramid or structure, if you start creating animosity and problems and areas of the bottom part start rotting out, you're going to start undercutting your ability to maintain proper structure in the levels above, which will ultimately create instability in your life. So if there's a problem and a block that's missing at the bottom of your structure and it's rotting away and creating a problem, you can easily create either maintenance with that person to make that and repair that ability, or just like you would with replacing a faulty filter, an air filter. We're talking about blocks here. Replace it with the relationships that's going to nurture and create a healthy pyramid inside of your space. This is your structure that you create. You sit atop of it. Don't let people undercut your happiness and your hierarchy of needs. You're the person that dictates that flow.
Absolutely. And I really like what you I really like a topic that you just touched on, about being able to like have a relationship with people who you work with versus the people who you choose to have in your life versus your family, right? I think it's also really important to remember that, yeah, you do have to have cordial relationships with people that you may not want to interact with. But the reason why you need that is, for money, AKA keep your lights on, nourishment, all that stuff, your career, right? There are certain people that you have to, I'm going to use the word again, pander to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can take all that bullshit and bring it home with you. It's almost like, I think I said this a couple episodes ago, be a screen, not a sponge, right? So like when I'm on the airplane and I'm working and I'm just having a day and I'm like, oh, I'd rather be anywhere but here in this glass tube or this tube of emotion, I have to separate myself and be like, all right, I have to be really cordial because, being well liked in this line of work is going to make things better for me. It's like you're trying to make sure that these relationships are all kind of like an equilibrium, but during that time where I'm feeling stress, right, and I walk away and I do my 4-count breathing and I come back, that's what's going to keep me afloat. I'm talking more about like the people who you choose to have in your life. Like, say you are really good friends with this person, and then all of a sudden one day you realize they just did something that you would never fucking do to them. And what? Oh my God, are you serious right now? And then you're like, well, I can't expect everybody to be the same person as me. And then you start talking yourself out of it. And all of a sudden you're totally just like letting the bullshit keep going, right? And then all of a sudden, maybe years go by and you realize you've been in this weird relationship with, it could be a significant other, or it could be a friend, where maybe they've been gaslighting you or making you feel bad about yourself, but you've just been taking it because you care about them, or maybe you don't like rejection. There's all these different things that could go into it. What I'm saying is take inventory of the people you choose in your life. And you don't choose your family, right? You don't choose the people you work with. You have to make that work to attain that sort of inner peace, to decrease the inflammation and the stress and keep Helen happy, right? But the people who you choose, they should be the ones that help you up, and you do the same for them.
I like that.
Yeah.
I will say that I guess introspectively looking at it, then from that way, I think the biggest stress comes from the uncontrollables, and my own, I guess, fault in the stars, for my own perfect image, is that I don't separate and I try to, categorize both under the same roof.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that I think creates the animosity of, where both of us are very empathetic person or peoples. And you take yes, peoples is a word.
Peoples.
Peoples is a word. And us peoples, we the peoples have the same issue. I think a lot of the times is categorizing those two things. You're uncontrollable and you're controllable because you feel like if you care enough about something that you can't control, that it will start to fall under that umbrella. And that is
Yeah.
100% my personal journey and issue. But yeah, that
It's
is
your personal journey.
it's my own
Yeah.
journey.
It's good though. Everybody has their journey and you learn every single day, and we're not perfect, you know? So, with that being said, we're getting kind of close to time, but if there's anything you're going to take away from this conversation, is just to know that just treat your body with love, treat your body with care. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, we're all human beings and we're meant to make mistakes. But if you could just give it a little bit more love, even if that's just looking in the mirror and saying, hey, you look good today. You're doing really well. So, from my heart to yours, thank you all for listening in. Thank you, Anthony. As
Of
always,
course.
let's take care of our hearts. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, people. Take care of your Hal in the heart. She deserves it. And we will see you on the next one.
See ya.